This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Kevin Tucker and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is August 21st, I believe, 2025. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host, Kevin Tucker. And you might wonder, if you're watching on YouTube, why it looks like you're watching SportsCenter. What's going on, Kevin?
Yeah, I think this is our first ever episode that we've done in suits.
Yeah.
So you can check that off the list. But yeah, we're here in Washington, D.C., and we're recording this on Tuesday.
Correct.
The 19th, by the way. So if there's some jaw-dropping Magic news on Wednesday and we're not talking about it, that's why. I don't know what that could possibly be this time of year, but we're here in D.C., which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I guess we should start and lead with that, I guess, why we're here. So about 2 weeks ago, Jonathan Isaac reached out to us and let us know that the Museum of the Bible here in D.C. was hosting an event with him to unveil one of their new exhibits, which included the Judah 1, the Unitus shoe that Jonathan Isaac put out. Obviously, that he is, signed the shoe. Obviously, like, his autograph is on it, and because it's the first ever professional athlete to have a signature shoe, that each shoe features a Bible verse, which obviously is fitting for that to be at the Museum of the Bible. So he invited us out and asked us to be here, and obviously we were thrilled at that. And we just got back from that. We had a great time, just really cool opportunity.
Yeah, and we got to have a little conversation with J.I. as well, and so we'll get to share that with you later here on in the episode.
Might have said the words, "It's our year."
Maybe.
To which I was like, that. You might notice it in the interview. I'm like, what do you mean it's our year? Like, can you please elaborate on that?
Yeah, that was really cool. And yeah, really cool night. But yeah, definitely you guys stay tuned to listen to that.
So my first time in DC.
Yeah.
Actually, when Kev and I are done doing this, we're going to go walk like the National Mall and see the White House and the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial and all of that kind of stuff. The food here in DC, I know we got to talk about this a little bit. I was not expecting the meal that we had earlier today was really phenomenal, and the night is still young. I mean, it's a little bit after
8:26. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, 8:26. Yeah.
Kev does this military time thing. I don't know how to tell military time.
It's 24-hour time, but yes.
Military time.
Yeah, okay.
But so I don't know what time it is. But the night's still young. Maybe we'll get into some more food. But we do have some Orlando Magic news. The Magic have agreed to a contract with Lester Quinones, who's spent a few seasons in the NBA, a couple of years with the Golden State Warriors, and then last year with the Philadelphia 76ers and the New Orleans Pelicans. Do we have confirmation that this is, in fact, a two-way?
This is an Exhibit 10.
So, okay, that's what I was going to ask. Yep. This is the time of year where we start getting the Exhibit 10 contracts, essentially like the training camp deals. And then if you perform well, if the Magic do want to convert it to a standard or, at this point, they don't have the money nor the roster space to be able to do something like that.
Yeah.
Unless it did become, another, I think we just have the
two-way.
one two-way open
left
now at this point. So, but Lester, a guard, not a great three-point shooter, averaging 34.6% on 2.5 attempts for his career. But it is a signing nonetheless. Don't expect him to make the main roster, but the next couple of weeks as we get closer to media day and the start of training camp, we're going to be getting more and more news like these Exhibit 10 training camp deals.
And just to reiterate, there is no scenario in which Quinones or any other moves that you hear, signings, I should say, that you hear over the coming weeks and months, that they make the main quote-unquote roster, right? There's no money for it, okay? So the only way that could happen is if someone gets dealt, which obviously we don't have any rumblings of that at all. It feels like the main roster is kind of set for the year, but obviously you never know what could happen.
Yeah. So obviously we will get to the Jonathan Isaac, conversation. It's just a couple of minutes that we had with them, but we want to talk a little bit about the event. That's really why we're here.
Yeah. It was a really cool. I've never been to the Museum of the Bible. It was a really cool thing. It's obviously for people of faith, it's cool, but there's also quite a lot of history behind it too. Like people that are interested in history, not specifically American history, but even world history, kind of the Bible, again, regardless of faith, it is a historical document that has quite a long history and history of, how it was originally inscribed and translated and printed, the Gutenberg Bible, printing press, those kinds of things. And the museum kind of walks through the history of it in a lot of different ways. And so that was pretty cool. And it's kind of interesting to see, how that book has kind of, stood the test of time all the way to 2025, where there's a guy that put it on a shoe, and now that's in the museum. So it's pretty interesting.
There was also an exhibit that, at least what my favorite part was, I think it's, they said it's there through the end of 2026.
I think so.
On display, it's like the earliest recorded church or floor of a church that they basically have the entire thing there. So again, I've never been to DC. This is my first time ever in the city and my first time being to the museum. So that was really cool. And then the exhibit and the event focused around Jonathan Isaac. So obviously there were different, Unitus, pieces of apparel all over the place. The Judah 1, the Unitus Fortra, the kind of trainer shoe that they came out with as well. And then we got the first look at the Judah 2, which we have some B-roll. Maybe we could, throw that in.
We'll put it right here.
Right here. Boom. There you go. There were 3 colorways there. I really like it. I think it's visually, it's a bit of an upgrade from the Judah 1. Not that the Judah 1 wasn't nice, but I do like the Judah 2 a bit more in the fact that the Bible verses, presented on the tongue of the shoe, rather than I think before it was on the back kind of heel area. But it looks really good. And hopefully, if you remember back to when it was first announced that he was, going away from Nike, was going to start his own shoe, and all that kind of stuff, people were like, this is a guy who's had injury concerns. He probably should not be going with an unproven performance shoe. And it's held up pretty well.
Yeah. No problems. And talking about the Judah 2 specifically, it's very cool, very different in a lot of ways. The mesh on the sides, that's very different. The lion instead of the word Judah kind of on the back panel there, that was pretty cool. And so, I think they said, what did they say? October is when that actually comes out. I think
it's September. I think it's mid-September, somewhere
16th.
around there.
I remember they said the 16th. I couldn't remember if it was October or September.
That's my wife's birthday.
Oh, there you go. Happy birthday, Carmen. But it sounds like here in less than a month or so, the Judah 2s will be available for purchase. And so, that's pretty cool.
And, we got to mingle with some other, social media personalities. Shane Boyle, the best mouth on the net, as some people know him as. That's nothing crazy. The dude catches marshmallows in his mouth, which saying that out loud is kind of weird. Caleb Gordon here, who is a Christian hip hop artist, was here as well. So it's cool to be able to say what's up to those guys. But then to see him as the presentation kind of started and just talk a little bit about the backstory, behind the shoe and why the Unitus brand and the Judah 1 and that going into the Bible Museum, being so important to him, the line, "This is my MVP," this is my Hall of Fame, to me was the coolest moment of the night.
I was going to say, in fact, let's just put that whole little speech. Yeah. Let's put it right here. So if you want to check out that speech, here's Jonathan Isaac.
First off, thank everybody so very much for coming. I know me reaching out was super late notice, but the fact that all of you guys took time to get dressed to come and celebrate this with me, it really does mean a lot. And I got some amazing people with me. I got my wife Takita here, my mom, my family, and this is just a really dope moment. And I was sitting down thinking to myself, what does all this mean? God, help me make sense of it all. And the one thing that I felt like God was saying to me was, there were moments in my life where I placed ultimate value on what was ultimately valueless, while not focused on what was truly valuable, which was my relationship with Christ. And that only led to comparison and fear and insecurity and all these different things. And when I look at this moment, to me, it's this is my MVP. This is my Hall of Fame. Only what you do for Christ will last. And to have this moment to, if the Jesus doesn't come back, our kids will be able to come to the Museum of the Bible and see that all of us were a part of something really great. And all for the glory and honor of Christ. So thank you all so much. And thank you.
And again, that line, just other guys, their goal is to, win MVP of the league or make it to the Hall of Fame. Jonathan Isaac, yes, basketball is very important to him. It's a massive part of his life. It's given him so much. But at the end of the day, representing, Christ and spreading the gospel is what is most important to him. So that was really cool to see that moment for him, but also for his family.
Yeah, I was about to say, J.I. was joined there by his wife was there, his kids were there. I think he said his mom was there. So it was really a family affair, and everyone was really excited and there to support him. Again, just a monumental. Like it's hard to describe. Again, we always want to be sensitive, because we are people of faith. We don't hide that, but obviously we know not everyone who listens or watches the show is a person of faith. And but when I say like the significance of having something you personally worked on, a shoe, a piece of apparel, put into a museum in Washington, D.C., it's very significant. And again, I know not everyone's going to quite understand or gravitate towards this specifically because of the content, the nature of it, the faith-based aspect of it. But it's a very significant moment. Like if you've ever been to D.C., you've been to the Smithsonian museums and all those kinds of things. This isn't a Smithsonian, but it is right down the street from the National Mall. It is a significant museum. People come from all over the world to come to the Museum of the Bible. And so to have something that you have put your heart and soul into, not even, and that's the thing, when J.I. sought out to found, Unitus and develop a shoe and all that kind of stuff, I guarantee you he was never thinking about it being in a museum. And so the fact that something he put his heart and soul into just so happened to a couple years later now be in an exhibit in a museum in Washington, D.C., it was just a really special moment. I could tell, not just watching him, but watching his family too.
Yeah. Really awesome moment. And then we actually got a chance to talk with J.I. for a few minutes afterwards about obviously the event, but also the upcoming Magic season. And he shared some things that I think are going to excite Magic fans. So let's go ahead and get to that now. All right, we're here with Jonathan Isaac, the man of the hour here. We're here at the Museum of the Bible in front of the Judah 1 display here. Obviously, you talked about this night and what it means to you. This is your MVP, your Hall of Fame. Question about the shoe that I've wondered for a little bit here. Do you pick the verse first and then try to find the colorway that goes with the verse, or do you
That's a great question.
pick a colorway and then pick a verse?
There's been both ways. So for this one, I already knew that I wanted this verse, and because it's the lion verse, I was like, okay, it has to be orange. It has to have some details of a lion. But other shoes, we've gone completely verse first or colorway first, and then put a Bible verse that we felt like really brought it home.
I love it. So obviously, like this whole story, like for you, kind of started in the bubble, you know, in terms of the shoe. Can you talk a little bit about just like what that period of time was for you, and like some of the like darker times for you in that period?
Shoot, I mean, going through the whole process of making a decision not to kneel or wear the T-shirt, I think this is the darkest time of my life, honestly. Just knowing what was going to come out of it, knowing that I was going to get a fair amount of backlash for it, but still trying my best to trust in what I was ultimately aiming for, which was to bring light to Christ and showcase His love, and for people to understand that was where I was coming from. And then obviously the injuries right after, that was a dark moment as well. But God has got me through, man. I feel like this moment, the book, all the stuff that God has done in my life from then, just speaks to His goodness and His grace.
Was it difficult for you at all, like during that time, seeing like people only looking at what you did and not listening to what you said, and kind of like trying to twist that for their own meaning? Was that difficult for you at all?
Absolutely. And it was on both sides. You know, I tried my best to stay true to my message, but you know, it comes with the territory, with just the world that we're living in, the media, doing what they do.
So we do want to ask you a quick question about the Magic. Obviously, we see that you're cutting down a little bit, starting to move really well. How are you feeling right now, and where are you in that whole process?
I feel great. I feel fantastic. I'm excited for the year. I've been putting in a lot of work. I know the guys been putting in a lot of work. We made some great moves, and I think this is our year, man.
Your year in terms of what?
In terms of us going all the way, I feel like we got the pieces. I feel like this is going to be a super exciting year. I feel like we're going to make a lot of noise in the East, and we'll see what happens. But I know that as a team, we got our goals on taking that next big step.
Well, that's what we want to hear. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having us here, and congratulations again.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Kev, it is our year, and then follow that up with like talking about like we could go all the way.
Wow.
That was really, really something.
You know, if you listened or watched our last episode with Philip Rossman-Reich, one of the things we talked about is like one of the potential weaknesses of this team. There aren't a lot, but one of them is the second unit. And in particular, we look at the guards. You know, we're not exactly sure what that's going to look like. And even some of the smaller wings, right? Tristan, Jet, all that kind of stuff. But when you go into the category of the bigs, you think of a Mo Wagner. Obviously, we don't know what he's going to be like when healthy, or if healthy. And then the other guy is Jonathan Isaac. And, you know, asking him and seeing him today, he definitely has thinned out. Like, you know, one of the things we've talked about a lot on this show is the added weight that came from last season. You know, again, Some say it was mutual. Some say it was the team. We don't know. And at this point, it doesn't really matter. What we do know is that everyone agreed it didn't work. And so I'm glad about that. And we've seen it on social media and in pictures, and to see it in person today and hear it from him today, he's definitely thinned out. And honestly, I don't want to put all the pressure on one guy because it's going to take everybody. But Jonathan Isaac could be one of the X factors of this team this season, especially, again, when you look at the bench unit, you look at, we just don't know what to expect. If guys like J.I. and Anthony Black and Tristan Da Silva and all those, if they can be solid, above average even, coming off the bench, that's when this team, I think, can be really dangerous.
If you're watching me on YouTube, I keep having to sit up in this chair because I just keep sliding down. So if you're like, man, why does Jonathan look so frumpy? It might be me, but it also could just be this weird angle of this chair that I'm sitting in. But no, I mean, we have talked about Jonathan Isaac literally, I think, the last 2 or 3 seasons, this one included, of like his health and his performance. It can sway games. It literally could sway a playoff series.
Yeah.
If he is the guy that he was for the last half of the 2023-2024 season, like we go back to that Milwaukee game. I know we talk about that game a lot when it comes to JI, but that was like you had to win that game, that like last ultimate, like the last game of the season, and against the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Magic are down early, and he comes into that game and single-handedly flips that game. I think it was late in the first quarter into the second quarter, and then doesn't have the best playoff series against Cleveland, but everybody basically named Paolo Banchero did not.
Yeah.
But then the thought was like, hey, if we can get that guy for 20 minutes a game this year, it's going to make a world of a difference. And by that point in the season, not this last season, but the season before, the 23-24 season, he had finally gotten off the minutes restrictions and was playing back-to-backs, all that kind of stuff. And then they go, oh, well, whoever says, all right, we need Jonathan to put on this weight. And he did that and did a good job of it with the idea of like playing more of the 5. And he talked more about how playing that position in itself was a bit of an adjustment for him, but then playing with that extra size and the extra weight, he just never really looked comfortable last season, never really looked like himself, definitely wasn't moving the way that we're accustomed to. And us having the privilege of being around the guy, a few times a year, like we saw him last year at Media Day, noticeably bigger, and we saw him today at this event, noticeably slimmer. And we've seen the social media videos, the Hoops for Happiness trip that him and some of the other NBA players took over to Bhutan, and the way that, yes, he's playing against grocery store clerks or whatever, like no offense to those guys, but obviously not NBA level basketball players. But to me, it wasn't the performance, it was just the way that he was moving. And again, today when we saw him, noticeably slimmer. So I know we get crap about this every year, hyping up JI, saying, oh, this is going to be the year, so on and so forth. But if he can be the guy that he was 2 years ago, and he can play 60, 65 plus games, and he can give you 20 minutes a game, he is going to be a world of a difference maker. And the reason that it might not be incredibly likely, but I think it's as possible now as it has been since the 2019-2020 season, is because he has not had a significant injury in basically 2 years, working on his body, working on the conditioning, had a mostly fully healthy off or season last year and a fully healthy off season this year, and has dropped the weight. Like, just speaking logically, if there was any time and opportunity for him to get back to form and be that guy and be able to do it for sustained minutes, I don't think it's, no pun intended with what we're talking about on this podcast, I don't think it's all hopes and prayers. I think we have a legitimate reason to believe that he could be that guy this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said earlier, absolute X factor. Like, I think Anthony Black's up there, and I think Jonathan Isaac is right there with him. I think these are the guys that could turn. It's going to be a good year. Like we've talked about it, right? It's going to be a good year. I think it could take something special from those guys, and then all of a sudden we're in the territory of great year. And honestly, literally today, this morning, I on my phone watched the play from the Cleveland series at home, game 4, with the stolen, the made Franz free throw, the stolen inbounds pass the 3 that was part of that, I think it was like a 27-5 run. It was one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in person. And just that electric moment. And it's just another reminder of like, look what's possible. And I don't know if you remember, I legitimately hurt my knee on. You weren't there.
Did. I remember hearing about this.
I legitimately hurt my knee jumping from that play. I will never forget it. It was worth it.
Does it still hurt?
No, I'm good now. But such a difference maker, right? Like obviously defensively, if you've been a fan of the Magic for any amount of time, you obviously know what J.I. can bring defensively. And again, last year maybe not his best, but seasons prior we know what a menace he is defensively. But offensively as well, again, he's never going to be like a go-to scorer type, but the ability to just knock down open threes, again, like he did in the 23-24 season at a very high clip. And so if he can just return to those things, a good role player offensively and elite playmaker defensively, again, it takes the ceiling of this team so much higher.
And, we got to talk with other Magic fans, at the event today. And obviously, people that work with Jonathan and work with Unitus who, because of that now follow the Magic, and everybody is so excited. And we've talked to people who, know Jonathan pretty well and just talking about how excited he is for this upcoming season and really how excited everyone is. And again, the fact, that we got a couple of minutes to talk with him, and for him, like we talked about on the last pod with Philip Rossman-Reich, when Paolo Banchero signs his extension and goes, let's go win a championship. And then you hear Jonathan Isaac say, like, I think it could be our year. Like, how are we not supposed to get excited? We can sit here and we can, we're trying to be optimistic, or, we're trying to be realist or whatever. But when you hear it from these guys who are going to be on the floor every single night in this jersey saying, let's win a championship, I think this could be our year. Like, what are we supposed to do? Are we not supposed to get excited about the possibility of a championship?
Yeah.
Because that's where I'm at, and I'm tired of pretending like that's not okay.
And look, here we are. I mean, we're less than 6 weeks from media day. It's right around the corner. And yeah, it's hard not to control or contain the excitement. And I just hope we're up for it. I think we are, but I hope, and we'll see.
If all these guys keep telling us that like our hope and we really believe we can win a championship, why the heck should we not believe that?
Yeah.
Like that's what they're striving for.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to be hurt. So I'm putting it all out on the line. I'm gonna get overexcited about every little thing, be heartbroken, and overreact to every single little bad thing that happens, just like I do every season. But that's what sports is all about. And man, please just let it be the year. Please.
I know. That would be amazing. Even just a great year. Let it be a great year.
Yeah.
I mean, a championship would be great. Would be awesome. But just let's
give us a second round game 7.
Yeah.
Like
50 wins and a second round game 7. And I mean, obviously it'll hurt.
It'll hurt
losing
bad.
a game 7 would be terrible. But give it a couple weeks, and we'll probably be able to look back on it and go, hey, we made this step, we made the leap that we were hoping for, and it's something to build on in the future. But I guess one step at a time.
Let's do another exercise. This is not for you if you're driving. If you're stationary, I want you to close your eyes and envision. I tell you the Magic win 52 games this year, and they take the Cleveland Cavaliers to game 7 and in the second round. And now I know it's the Cavs, but I mean, like, or the Knicks or whoever, it's not going to feel good regardless if you end up losing in the second round in a game 7. But if I told you that's the way that this season plays out, I'm taking it right now. And if you say no, I think you're a liar a little bit.
I would begrudgingly take it. Like losing. Can I open my eyes now?
Are you driving?
No.
Then yeah, I guess you're fine.
Okay, fine.
I mean, yeah, especially if you're driving, you should open your eyes.
The thing with if we lose to Cleveland in 7 again, I will be upset by that.
Of course.
I would really love to get payback for 24, but and then losing to the Knicks.
If you could guarantee that right now, though, I think everybody would take it.
Begrudgingly, I would take it.
But what's then okay? Hey, you're gonna take the alternative possibility that's a. Hey man,
see,
I mean,
see what I'm saying?
You
That's
know
the
what?
game we're playing.
I probably would take the risk myself as well, but I'm saying
exactly.
We can't be hellfire and brimstone if this team loses a game 7 in the second round.
Right.
It's going to take steps more than likely.
Mm-hmm.
It's not impossible. We have been talking about it all off season, but just if you look around, like OKC, you know, they had to take their lumps last season in the playoffs, and then they got it done. And like young teams don't just make a run all of a sudden and then win it. Like you have to take your lumps along the way. And you know, we've had a 7-game series and a 5-game series. Like these guys need more than 12 playoff games under their belt before we're like, yeah, you know what? But hey, this could be a freezing cold take, and we could be looking back at this 10 months from now and be like, hey, what a bunch of idiots. You know, we went all the way and won the whole thing.
We're idiots regardless.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's going to do it for this one. I don't really have anything else.
I mean, really quick, I don't know if we want to shout out Jam Hot Chicken, 400 West New England Avenue, Suite 13 at Hannibal Square, sponsoring the show. Go check them out. Jam Hot Chicken, FL.com and at Jam Hot Chicken on all socials. Big sponsor of the show. We love them.
Yep.
And Patreon.com/The Six Man Show if you want to join. Find the tier that works for you. And big shout out to all those who support the show that way too.
And I just want to say again, a big thank you to Jonathan Isaac Unitus for having us out here for this opportunity. Just so grateful to all of you. Kevin and I have been talking about this all day, how cool it is that we get to do this. Never in a million years would I think that we would have the opportunity to go on a trip like this to Washington, D.C., and to be a part of like an intimate event like that. And just, it doesn't happen without you all paying attention and following along and listening and downloading and watching. So just super grateful for the opportunity. Super grateful to you all. That's going to do it for this one. For Kevin Tucker, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to The Six Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!